Well, everyone, we're here at the end of the semester. You're almost finished with ADM 630. After speaking to a couple of folks in the class over the last couple of days, regarding questions for MRP6, it was pointed out that the way I was explaining it in those conversations might be beneficial to other students in the class, and both students that I've spoken to actually suggested I record a brief video to help explain things a little bit more clearly. So I thought that was great advice from those students, and so here we are with a short video about MRP6. So this snippet that I'm showing is from the MRP6 instructions PDF document. So what you're going to do, you're going to of course have a title page because this is graduate school and you need a title page. You're going to write an abstract. And an abstract is a very brief summary of the entire document. So you might start off with something about the purpose of this proposed research is to ... Use it, and then your next sentence might be about literature was consulted based in the broad topic of or topics of ... And then you'll have a sentence that describes the research design, and then you will probably wrap it up with a possible outcome of this research might be to ... So in 120 words maximum, you're going to provide a general summary of what your entire MRP is about. Then your introduction section is MRP1. That's when you provided some background about your research topic and your idea that you'd be following throughout the semester. Your literature review section is MRP4. So you're just going to take the MRP4 assignment that you submitted and make that your literature review section. Now, where I have MRP1 and MRP4, you're not just going to insert the entire file or something like that, but you're going to take the text from those files and put them in place into one cohesive document. So you're going to leave all of your references for the end here in section 7. So don't have a reference section at the end of your literature review section. Then your method section is MRP5. And you're just you're just going to take MRP5 and put it in this spot. And then with the conclusion section, you're going to provide a general conclusion for your paper and also address limitations. And the limitations are about the research design that you've chosen. So for example, if I have a case study research design that is qualitative in nature, there's some particular limitations with case study research. For example, one of the limitations of qualitative research in any form is that we cannot make generalizations because of the relatively small sample sizes that we utilize. On the flip side of that, let's say I've got a correlational research design and I've chosen a stratified sampling procedure. Well, there's some limitations with every type of sampling technique, and rather than going into any specifics and making this video too long, make sure that you look back at the chapter on sampling from the Macmillan textbook. So you're going to talk about the limitations of your research design or the limitations of your sampling procedure, or both. So like I said, every sampling procedure has potential limitations. Every research design has potential limitations. So address those. So in the example of correlational research design, a limitation is that correlational designs only look at relationships between variables. We cannot attempt to surmise any sort of cause and effect or anything like that. Even with a regression analysis that's part of correlational design, we cannot suggest that there's a cause and effect. Regression is simply a prediction of a relationship between variables where we're looking at the probability that a change in the independent variable leads to a proportional change in the dependent variable. It's predictive in nature. It's not a direct cause and effect. Remember, we cannot ever suggest cause and effect relationships of any sort, not just in correlational, but in any non-experimental research designs. We can only show cause and effect in true experimental. Sometimes we can make that suggestion in quasi-experimental research, but not in non-experimental research. So if you talked about having a survey instrument in your MRP5, remember that is non-experimental. And so I'll go ahead and give you a tip for folks who've got survey instruments in your MRP5, which will become your method section in MRP6, is that one of the limitations of survey research is that we are relying on self-report of participants. Future research would be if you, let's say that you were to complete your research project beyond the proposal stage, which is what we're doing in this class. Remember, we're not actually collecting any data for this. We're simply writing the proposal. So let's say that you get your data, you analyze it, and who knows what you might find, but you're limiting yourself to a single research design. So let's say let's go back to my example of case study analysis, a case study design. Future research might include using the results or the findings from that case study design to generate a survey instrument to gather information from a broader range of people beyond the bounded system of that individual case. So I might write something like that. The appendix. For part A, you're going to go through the feedback that I provided on MRP4 and MRP5 and item by item, whether it was in the comment box or on the document itself, list out each of the items of feedback and explain how you've addressed that feedback. There's no particular format that is dictated for this portion. You can do a bulleted list, and then so you'd have one level of bullet for the feedback, and then the next level of bullet under that would be how you addressed it. Item B, any instruments that you would use. So this is a typo here. It says you used. This would be that you would use if you were to collect data. So if you are saying that you're going to conduct survey research, well, remember we had that discussion board or the discussion forum where your task was to provide potential survey items if you were to use a survey as your means of data collection. So you can start there as the basis of your survey. If you were to conduct interviews, what are questions that you would ask of participants? If you found an existing instrument that fits to your study, if you're able to, provide the instrument there. Not all instruments are available for free. So maybe if for your proposal, you say, well, I want to use a commercially available instrument, but you have to pay $100 to get it. Don't spend the money to get it just to provide it in this. Provide a link to where I can find information about the instrument if you're choosing a pre-existing instrument. Then item C, any other information that you feel is relevant to your study. This is the fourth semester that I've taught ADM 630 here at Murray State. I've actually not had anyone include anything for item C. This is really optional. I really don't know what you might put there because really everything else is summed up in other parts of the document. But just if there's something that you would want to include that you maybe it's I would really like to conduct this study. What are the next steps? So if there are questions that you have for me to that regard, to that aim. As you're working on this, you remember this is due next Wednesday, which is May 11th. Shoot me any questions you have via email. I will be checking email throughout the weekend and obviously through every workday. You have until 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday to submit your paper. So I'll say that probably the last point at which I'd be able to give any feedback to you would probably be Wednesday at noon. So if you get me any questions you have by then, that gives me the rest of Wednesday afternoon to respond, provide feedback. If you want to shoot me emails with drafts of sections or anything like that and get it so I can provide you kind of a quick look level of feedback, I'm happy to do that. So don't feel like you've just got to try to figure things out on your own and get it submitted. Um, I'm here to provide feedback to you as you work on this. Also, keep in mind, I provided this feedback for some folks on MRP5 that MRP6 is basically your final exam. This is what I use to help me ascertain the extent to which you understand the concepts that we've covered in ADM 630 this semester. So I want you to be able to demonstrate that to your best extent and best ability. I want you to feel confident with what you're submitting on May 11th. So please make sure that you ask questions as you have them. Even if you feel like I don't really know exactly what question to ask, but I feel like I don't feel confident, please reach out. And if we need to schedule time to talk on the phone, we'll do that. Like I said, I want you to feel comfortable and confident with what you're submitting for your final paper. So that's it for the video. I look forward to your questions and definitely look forward to reading the final results next week.